My name's Kate. I'm from the American University of Rome. I'm the US-based admissions rep, so I work full-time out of my office in Brooklyn, and my territory is the entire United States. So I do a lot of traveling. I talk to a lot of students at both four-year colleges, two-year colleges, high schools, students, just anyone who's interested in the opportunity of international education, whether or not that's transferring to finish their degree, maybe only doing a summer program. We have two back-to-back 4-week summer programs, a semester program, so a lot of flexible enrollment options. And it's my job really to just promote international education and then also AUR if it's a good fit for the student. So I'm going to spend just a short amount of time kind of going over AUR briefly, and then just kind of open up to Q&A. I really love to hear the motivations for students interested in an experience like this and see, what kind of information I can give that would be helpful. 0.25% of students in the United States will choose universities overseas. So it is the majority of students in the States are going to stay within a 100-mile radius of their hometown when they choose a university. So it is a very unique type of student who's drawn to this experience. And obviously my goal is to try and raise that 0.25% higher. So I'm here to be helpful in whatever way I can be. Okay. Click. There we go. Okay, so I studied abroad in university. Actually, my family moved us overseas when I was 9 years old for 4 months for my father's work. And then I studied abroad for a semester in France. And when I was finished with the university, I moved to teach English in Japan for 8 months. So I really am a big believer in international ed, but it's not just my stories that make me love international ed. I also love data. And so I like to share some statistics around the benefits of study abroad, whether or not you're going for a short program or all 4 years or longer. So there have been some recent studies that just show how beneficial it is for students, not only with like employability, but just, personal growth. Also in academics, there's data on students who study abroad after they return home to their home institutions. Their GPAs are higher than students who don't study abroad. So there's all these benefits to study abroad. Bonus, lifelong friends. I just had a WhatsApp call with a friend of mine that I met studying abroad in 2008 in France, and we're still connected today. So it's really a wonderful way to build a global network, especially if you're interested in like international business in any way, shape, or form. It's great to have people in every corner of the world. So why Italy? Obviously, the world's a very big place. So actually, this just changed. It's now the #1 most visited country by US students abroad. So Italy is a very, very popular destination for students for so many reasons. It has 55 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So in terms of like learning on site and just seeing the sites, it has a lot to offer. It's been ranked the #1 best country for cultural influence. So there's a lot to see and do. And also it's affordable. So if you compare it to other major cities in Europe, it's definitely going to be the most like student budget friendly option, which is great for our students. At AUR, we are a very tiny school. So we have 10 majors, 25 minors, we have internships, career services, all the things that you're like familiar with at a US-based institution. We are considered an American university abroad, which means that our programs are taught entirely in English. They are US bachelor's degrees. In terms of transferability of credits, it's really important for students who have previous college work because it transfers in really seamlessly. So we're, like I said, quite small. We're actually up to 640 students at the moment. I just haven't updated the slide, but really, really small, but also very diverse. We've got 60 nationalities represented on our campus, 28 languages spoken. So in such a small group of students, it's really, really cool to have such an international representation. 14 students on average per class. So it is like an institution where you're going to know your professors really well. You're going to know your classmates really well. It's not a school where you just disappear into a lecture hall of 300 students. So if that's like something you know about yourself as a learner, you like to be engaged, you like to have that connection, AUR could be a good fit, or really any small institution. And it's affordable. So we have institutional scholarships, a work study program. We are a private liberal arts college, which in the United States usually equates to very expensive. And in Rome, that's not the case. So our tuition is $26,400 per year, which is about half the cost of a private liberal arts college here in the United States. So these are all the degrees that we offer. We are, like I said, very small with these 10 degrees. You'll see no hard sciences on here. So if you are more of like a biochem pre-med leaning student, I'm not going to be a right fit school for you, at least not for finishing your degree, but maybe for a summer program or something. But so we do lean very strongly humanities and social sciences. One thing we do at AUR, regardless of your program, is we do a lot of experiential learning. That comes out in a lot of different ways. We do guest lectures. We're very fortunate that Rome is such a popular destination for some really impressive people. And so if we reach out and say, hey, you know, we see that you're here giving a talk at the UN, would you maybe be interested in coming to speak with our students? It's not uncommon for them to say, yes, we'd love to do that. And so our students are able to meet with a lot of really impressive folks as they, you know, come through Rome. We do a lot of on-site classes. This is both in our general education and in your major. It's our effort to use Rome as our classroom as much as possible, so that students are getting off of campus regularly. In addition to those on-site classes, we do academic field trips. These are like 1 credit courses that happen throughout the semester, depending on your major, where you'll get the opportunity to travel with your program director to another city in Italy, maybe another country in Europe, and just get to learn on site. So for example, our business administration and travel tourism management degree programs, they went to the Dolomites in northern Italy to study the ski industry. Our international relations and global politics group recently went to Northern Ireland to study the religious conflict and the history of the conflict there. So some really cool opportunities to do field trips, even at university. Like I said, we do have an internships program. This is a great opportunity for students to build that network even more and get some good skills on their resume before graduation. These are some of the examples. You'll see that, you know, some of these look like Italian names and some of them, like the US Capitol, is definitely not in Italy. So there's some flexibility on when you do your internship, especially if you have like, you know, maybe your Italian language competency is not great and you don't want to intern with like an English speaking business in Italy, then you might choose something else like the US Capitol, for example. So we do have student support services similar to a US-based institution here. We do have an on-campus doctor, speaks fluent English, counseling services, res grads, which are basically like our peer mentor services, help students adjust to life in Rome. Majority of our students are international. So about 80% of our students are coming from countries that are not Italy. So most of them are learning how to live in another country, maybe for the first time, maybe not. And so our res grads are there to kind of support students in like anything. Like one time we had a student with an allergy who didn't know kind of how to navigate the grocery store, and it was very anxiety, you know, producing for that student. And so our res grads went with them, helped them navigate, you know, helped them figure out how to read the ingredients on things and all of that. We also have fun student life, club sports, field trips, no competitive sports like we do here in the United States, no D1, D2, anything like that, just club level, cultural events and language exchanges. So Rome has enough to offer you to keep you busy all the time, but if you really wanted to be the most involved student, you can also join a bunch of clubs. So we do housing quite differently than a traditional four-year university here in the States. We don't have dorms. We do apartment style housing. It's fully furnished apartments where you live with other AUR students. You do have roommates, but they're spread out in the city. So we're not a residential campus. So students don't live on our campus. It's much more independent, which is really a popular option for a transfer student anyways, you know, like they don't really want to have to go into a dorm. So, you know, you can come into our housing. It's optional right from the very beginning. So if students decide, no, I'm definitely not going to have a roommate, like it's not going to happen. You can find your own apartment, your long-term Airbnb, whatever it is that you decide is the best fit for you. Okay, so when I'm on the road, I get a lot of questions like, what type of student ends up at AUR? Like, who is it, you know? And we have students from more than 60 countries. So we don't have like one profile student, right? So we kind of have thought about the characteristics our students bring to AUR, and these are the ones that we came up with. So unique, curious, resilient, receptive, courageous, and adventurous. Again, 80% of our students are coming from countries outside of Italy. So it's a big deal to move to another country for university. So a lot of our students do have these characteristics. Okay. So these are the costs, and again, sorry that 25.7 is now 26.4. I just haven't updated it yet. But so we've got fixed costs and then variable costs in the US. If you're looking at a four-year university, we're always talking about tuition and then room and board, because we don't have like a residential campus where students are living and eating. Our housing cost is just the apartment. So variable costs will depend on your lifestyle. Like, are you going to dine out 7 nights a week, or are you going to cook at home and save money? So that really depends on the student. We are a FAFSA eligible school because we are a US institution. So you are able to access US federal loans. Unfortunately, because we're located on foreign soil, students are unable to use Pell Grants. That's the case with any institution on foreign soil. We're very much hoping that changes in the future, but as of right now, that is the case. We do our best to make up for this with need-based scholarships as well as merit scholarships. We don't have any full funded scholarships, it's only partial scholarships, but the most competitive we have seen is about 50% off of tuition. And then our student training programs available for students. These are on-campus jobs. You don't need any Italian language to do them. And it's a great way for students to, make some grocery money every week and things like that. So that was a lot of information in a short amount of time. But I just wanted to have a brief introduction. We can have a chat now. I can answer any questions either about AUR, about international in general, or whatever about the college admissions process. I used to work at, a liberal arts college here, a public university here. So I have a lot of experience in the field of higher ed if you want to talk about whatever. Also, we'd love if you would connect with us in some way, shape, or form. So feel free to, snap a photo or grab this later.